Our virtual. Allison, can you explain just for the new individuals here how we're doing this tonight?
So we do hybrid meetings at the town of Manlius. So we have opened a Zoom meeting and tonight we don't have any attendees, but sometimes we do, especially for public hearings, and folks can participate from home or they can appear here in person.
Very good, thank you. And Elaine, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sorry. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. And so tonight we'll start out with our.
Sorry, moving house.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No problem. We'll start out with the open podium. If we have anyone tonight, Allison.
we have no attendees tonight in the virtually, so, and I don't. Did
No
anyone
one's filled out
have-
any.
Were you here for open podium?
Well, I haven't heard that term before, but I talked to Debbie.
You're here for open podium.
Okay, that's open podium. So
So
what, yeah, we do the first 15 minutes of the meeting. We have it open to anyone from the public who would like to speak. So we just ask that you stand at the podium, which is open, and speak 3 to 5 minutes and introduce yourself and, you know, your address and so on, and then we'll take it from there.
All right,
Oh, thank you.
my name's Steve McCoy. I live off of Mott Road, which is just south of the mall.
Mhm.
So this development was called Dabney Bluff. About 40 years ago, that was a meadow, and then it was developed into like a ring that's bounded by Dabney Lane and Mott Road. And how they built this, from what I understand, this, I'm the second owner here, is they had like a circular meadow and they bulldoze all the topsoil off into the middle. Campolino did this project and it sounds like he couldn't quite carry this off on his own, so he allowed other builders to build some of the houses and he built most of them. The problem is my house and the guy across the street from me were built last. And by being built last, that meant all these builders just took the soil that they needed to build all these projects. And then when they got to my house, there was no dirt left. So the house is lower than my two neighbors. I'm on the corner of Mott and Dabney. This
Mhm.
probably not the easiest to see, but
You're the second Dabney from Route
the
5,
second corner
second corner, okay,
on the right facing south.
gotcha.
So the problem there is that water has been a problem since I moved in,
And how long have you lived there, sir?
just over 40 years. And Campolino was aware that I had a little problem there, which also was compounded by people on both sides of me put in a pool. And then there's all this dirt they put around the pool, built up their property even higher than it was. The one is not really so much of a problem, but the one on Mott Road, 210 Mott Road,
Mhm.
next to me, I'm on the fifth neighbor there. So that gives you some idea how long I've been in there. This is their property, but it doesn't really help that picture. I don't know. So we had, this year we had an exceptionally bad year, as you know. We got like 7 inches of rain in under a month. And when that happened, so that you can get an idea of how bad that was. Really the problem it is, and Bob Cushion was nice enough, by the way, to come out and talk to me a little bit about that whole intersection.
Okay.
So he's seen kind of what's what over there. Oh, and by the way, I should say, I hope that the voting went your way last day or two here. So anyway, So I gotta go through this quickly. So that was the history of that Dabney Bluff. And so my lot is low, and now with the soil compaction, the pools, I don't know what other factors have, and all this rain. The guy on south, towards the mall, for me, a two-time mod, and it's not his fault, but his roof drains right into my yard. So the minute we get a half an inch of rain, I got a half an inch of rain in my lawn, which I never really had like this before. So it sort of caught me here. I've been fooling around with some dirt, and I had probably 50 yards of dirt delivered over the years to try to remediate that a little. But now this just killed us. So we had recent rain, we had pumps, I bought pumps, and it was unbelievable. I was just lucky I was home, or I would have had standing water in our finished basement. My wife would have gone crazy. She has an aerobics area down there, and that wouldn't have been good. So I talked to the owner next to me, but one, he's going to be retired in about a year and a half, and they, just really, that's too bad, but don't bother me kind of thing. He's nice about it, but I don't know. I'm going to have to remediate this myself, I think, which means, so I approached him. The problem is the whole lot is as flat as a pancake. There's a little bit of drop from his house to mine, a little bit, maybe a foot on his property, and then
You're good.
wham, hits me, and it's just sitting there like a lake, and there's no way to get rid of the water. You could pump it out of there, that'd be about it. But how do you pump? You can see that picture there. It's flat, it was this deep, all in my, like 2/3 of my backyard, and I'm telling you, I just never saw anything like it. So the problem is, even if I'm gonna have to get a landscaper. I've called like everybody and his mother, and they're telling me, well, that's nice, but call me next year. So I don't know where I'm going with
Is that
it.
because of,
They're all busy.
And all
well,
that.
they can't get anybody to help, maybe? Yeah.
You can't get anybody to do anything.
Right.
If you got, after this rain, I really got the trifecta of issues with contractors. So Rob and I seem to have the same idea, maybe a French drain or a system of French drains to intercept the water before it gets to my yard, and then to try to get it out of there. But the problem is, this is flat. It's going to be really hard to get it. You might be able to get it out of the yard, but you're going to dump it in my other yard. Like I was saying, it's a good thing I didn't put a pool in there, because I really thought about it, or a tennis court or something, and
So
that's how flat it is.
let me ask you, Mr. McCoy, just for clarification. Is all of this on your property, or is it part of our right of way, Rob? And
It's actually all on his property.
It's,
To his neighbors.
okay, because I mean, I refer to our legal counsel as far as where we can help or not help, I guess.
Well, I'm looking for any ideas you have, any help that you might be able to provide. I gotta get through the winter here, for
Yeah.
one. We get a 1.5 feet of snow in my backyard, and it melts all at once. I got sort of the same problem. Wham, it's there. 1 minute it wasn't there, and if I'm not home, plus I'm 70 years old, so I really shouldn't be out there bailing for 10 hours straight like I was the other day.
And you have some pumps, you said too. You have some pumps in the
I
basement?
did not say that.
Oh.
And the reason I
You
did,
said you
I
were
bought
pumping
2
it out,
pumps.
yeah.
My daughter ran up to Ace and bought 2 pumps, put them in the window well. My wife had the house like remediated for radon. One of the things they do is they seal your sump pump over. Everything is about radon, right? So I have 2 spots where the water was pouring down the wall at there's 2 window wells, and it goes into that trench around the house. But right now, that thing is sealed over. And to make it worse, the guy, you saw that, it had never run before. In 40 years, it never needed to run. That's why I let it happen. But even when when it's turned on and like I used to exercise it every year to put water down there and Clorox and make sure it ran and all this. It only just dumps right outside the window well, which is right there. It just
Just keeps coming back
in the
in.
basement. Is the biggest, stupidest thing. They put it in, and then the guy that owned the house before me ran over the outside thing and broke it.
That was 40 years ago.
That was 40 years ago, yeah, and so I don't know. And like I said, I've done everything that I can. So what can the town do for me? I don't know. I had two ideas, but I don't want to be pushing my ideas on somebody else, so.
Well, what are we allowed to legally do? I know that that on private property, we're very limited in what we can do.
Yeah.
So the general rule is that unless the town infrastructure is involved in some way, either causing the problem or the problem is going to cause a problem to our infrastructure, the town really, under New York state law, can't get involved fixing private property.
Well, I realize I'm gonna have to get this landscape thing. The problem I really have with the town, and I talked to somebody, but I have no idea, it was a couple of years ago about this whole thing before it got this bad. And my argument here is that the town should have been watching somebody somehow that these builders do what they're supposed to do in the subdivision design, right? And this did not happen in my lot. There's no way there should have been 1.5 feet. My one neighbor's about 4 feet higher than me, but that neighbor's not such an issue.
Right.
And the guy was aware of my problem. When he drained his pool, he tried to get it out over on the street better.
Were those homes put in like 20 years ago or so? Or not?
40 years.
Oh, they were also added right after.
You were the last home and you
I
said
was
you
the
wanted.
You were the last
They
one.
were all built in the same year.
Oh, I see.
It was a big, the interest rates were going crazy. There was like 12% interest rates.
Yeah, I remember.
They were hurrying up like mad to get this thing off there.
Right.
Well, and so you back up, so like your backyard is essentially heading towards the town center. Like you were,
Correct.
Yeah.
and there, I mean, there
And that's
is,
where the water is coming off this guy's roof and pouring into my yard.
because there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of water back there. I mean, it's very marshy, right? There's all those cattails that grow.
No, I don't know where.
Oh, he's further up.
He's
Yeah.
further up.
It's the top of a hill there.
Yeah, he's up at the second, or second deputy.
The second.
Yeah, that's closer to.
I want to hear your ideas, but I think that what's interesting is that when folks are coming to us, so we're having all this rain this year, we know that we have aging stormwater district plans that need, re-upping in different places, which we've been working on. But severe weather is going to continue. So I would imagine that one of the things we could do is share the information about what's working for homeowners when they find solutions. That's one thing we could do to help be, be able to say, here's, we have information, right? We could do that. We could also, maybe through sustainable Manlius, this idea of if there are the landscaping solutions particularly that work in terms of rain gardens, very absorbent,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, that's not gonna work in this case.
Right, but in general, these solutions that we start, and we also incentivize and make it easier for people to, if they're putting money into it, that we're also incentivizing it. I
Well,
mean,
this is
that's
gonna
something
be
the town can
thousands
do.
of dollars for absolutely sure.
And I don't think that's a water district over there either, is it? It's not, or a drainage district. Right? Is that area? No.
So, like I said, my complaint, and there's nobody here had anything to do with this, including me when it first happened, or my neighbors, but they allowed these houses to be built like this, accentuating it. He's here and I'm here, and when the rain pours off his roof, where does it go? Most subdivisions I've seen, there's a swale between the houses and it goes to the street. Well, the street is a little bit higher, I think, than the yard, especially every time they repave it, it's another little bit. So I don't know if I don't think so. None of that water that's shunted off his roof goes it could go off the back down and it would kind of splay out over about 3 houses. He's about 20 feet maybe higher than all the houses behind it. And 2 feet maybe higher than me, maybe, probably less. But one, that should have never happened. How did the builder get away with? And there's multiple builders involved, all in the same project.
Well, that was 40 years ago.
I know it was
And
40
of
years
course,
ago,
we've
but now.
restricted a lot of building requirements to, these days that.
They weren't.
Yeah, the
weren't-
requirements-
The requirements were different.
I don't, yeah, I mean, I have no idea, except,
They would have needed to have gotten it approved through our planning process, through the planning department. They
Oh,
would have
yeah.
needed to have
well, that's
brought.
who I talked to a couple of years ago, but he
Yeah.
says, well, I was in here, I don't know.
Well, and that-
I don't know."
I think, what I can say is that the codes and the requirements have become much more strict over the last, even just the last 10 years, like the way we build homes now is very, very different than 10 years ago, and certainly 40 years ago. What is frustrating for me is that you're not the first person to come to us this year. I've had people reach out to me personally, friends of mine, strangers, neighbors, residents. And they're mad, saying like, the rain's so bad, it washed away all their landscaping, and they just spent thousands of dollars on it. What can the town do? And it's difficult for me to say it's private property. We're simply not allowed to go and do work on private property.
Yeah.
Unless like Tim had said, unless our drainage issues are causing any
Yeah.
problems.
That's,
But I don't know if they are.
Well, in that particular instance, no. Yes, he's got water around his neighbor's property. The town has no infrastructure. The village doesn't even have any infrastructure because it's right on that.
Yeah, it's on the edge. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, it's an old subdivision
Mhm.
where his subdivision starts, it matches up to the houses that were on that road originally.
Oh, I see.
So his is right on the corner.
Yep.
Of the house, that new subdivision, Dabney Lane, would be right next door to where he is, so. And again, that was probably built late 80s,
Yeah.
mid 80s. Obviously, the stormwater regulations were different then than they are now.
A lot.
There was no retention systems required at that time. The HOAs probably were different then, so, again, it's a lot different than what we're doing now.
Would gutters help
well, the gutters,
on your
what,
neighbor's
I
home?
went out and bought, 2 years ago, I bought some aluminum pieces and asked my neighbor if he could extend it kind of away.
Mhm.
It was a joke. So this,
He wouldn't do it?
no, I bought the thing
And
and
it
he
didn't
stuck
work.
it on, it wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
So I have another, like my side yard that goes along my road is low. I mean, my road is here, and this thing, the bottom of it is here. But if it goes in there, it doesn't hurt it. It's gonna wreck my lawn, but that's why I dumped my last truckload of dirt in there and I need
It'll
50
just wash
yards.
away, yeah.
No, it's like a bowl.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think the only thing that we can really do for, time's sake this evening is we have all the information that you've given us. All the details, the pictures, everything. And, we can certainly get together and put some type of recommendation for you, put together and get that to you.
You could, but I think.
But I really think our hands are tied in this situation, I hate
Yeah.
to say that, but,
And I'll share with you my personal experience with I just bought my parents' house 6 months ago, and they've had terrible flooding issues in their basement over the last 10 years, that they own the house for almost 30 years, wasn't an issue. And then 10 years ago, the basement started to flood every time it would rain. The sump pump was just not working properly. And their sump pump essentially was running 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
7
I
days a week.
have a whole string of neighbors. that-
Well, sir, if you don't mind, I'll just finish we're in the village of Manlius, so we were dealing with the village. My dad was mostly dealing with them because he owned the house. And there was a pipe that was blocked. They guessed it was tree roots had gone through it. And it was flooding my dad's basement, but it was in his neighbor's yard. And when he asked me to buy the house, I said, sure, but I'm not gonna buy it until you fix your flooding basement, because I don't have an interest in that. So this spring, a backhoe came and made it look like a full construction. It cost my dad tens of thousands of dollars. They dug up this huge area in the neighbor's yard, found this 1 6-foot section of pipe, about 1 foot down, dug it up, replaced, it was full of tree roots. And there hasn't been one thing since, but my dad went to the Village of Manlius year after year after year, and they said, even though it's their pipe, it's on private property, and there was simply nothing they could do. It very much frustrated my father. It didn't necessarily make sense to me either, but that is the law. So while I wish that the village could have helped my father, and while I wish that we could help you, we are very limited in what we're able to do. Because it's on private property. We've had what I would be interested to do, because I chair our sustainability committee, climate change is here, and this is the impact of that. And so it's going to be costing municipalities and business owners and residents a lot of money to mitigate the warming and the additional rain. So what I would be curious to find out, Supervisor, if you could talk to some of your colleagues at the Association of Towns,
Yeah, I could reach out. to
because
them.
this is not just one person who's annoyed that his
Oh, yeah.
backyard is flooding. This is
Everywhere.
our whole town. This is our whole region. I have friends in Camillus whose basements have never flooded before that were filled with feet of water. So I don't think we can just keep telling everyone there's nothing we can do, because that's not, I don't like to say that. So if we could see, are there
Sure.
other resources available?
I could certainly do that. Yeah, they're, very accessible to getting information. from
Especially when
them.
it's a problem that everyone.
Yeah, and we can reach,
This
they
is
can,
across
and
the
I can get
state.
comparisons to other communities and maybe having the same issues that their residents are.
Like if
having,
we
so.
can't go and do
Yeah.
construction on their property, what can we do to
Yeah.
help people?
Yep, I can, there's some legal counsel up there that are very helpful.
Well,
Very
I don't
helpful.
know if there's
So-
any contractors, like, I tried to follow up on yours, but I got,
People are very busy, as you said, yeah.
they're busy beyond anything.
They can't even take a phone call.
They won't, that's right. They won't
They're
take
that
a,
busy.
yeah, they won't take a phone call. Don't even call us till next year.
Yeah,
I said, I'll pay you to come out and look at it. No.
they don't have, they simply don't have the time.
Sure,
Yeah,
so-
they're booked, fully booked, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll reach out to the Association of Towns and we'll start there. And if you want to make sure that Allison has your contact information, then
Yep.
we can definitely be in touch with what we find
You know
out.
right where you live.
And we know where you live.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if you want to give it,
Yeah.
it's in your email, that'd be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it is.
Oh, I know,
Many
believe me,
people-
we've been dealing
I've
with
had
this
a
a long
lot of
time.
people who are now not speaking to me because I couldn't help them with their wedding.
It's tricky because, if it's, town
Thank you, sir, for
infrastructure,
coming.
it can go both ways, as Tim said, and it can be a two-edged sword sometimes. So we just have to be sure that we're doing the
It
right
comes
thing.
down to the simple fact that one taxpayer is not going to want to supplement or support a private property of
Right,
another
right.
taxpayer. That's the concept that the controller really is
Yeah.
saying, you can't do that.
But that what's we're learning is that we're gonna have to level up in such a short period of time, the private infrastructure, and that people's private properties are, like this gentleman's neighbor, going to impact other properties. So I think coming up with incentives to help people shore up their properties so that it's not, and we have standards around that will be coming through, that'll help us understand, okay, if you're gonna do the
Yeah, but you do that at the
Disabled.
time when you're building the
Right.
house, when you're developing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And by now, by this point,
we're gonna have to retrofit houses though for efficiency, for energy efficiency too. And
Well, yeah, that's all part of,
The water is so detrimental, it will, I mean, like a fire, if your house catches on fire, it's not the fire that destroys your house, it's the water when they come to put out the fire. But water will ruin everything in your home.
it seems when you have 100-year rain or floods and twice in
Multiple
2 months or
times a year.
something,
Well,
it's
it's because
like.
when 4 or 5 times this fire. Oh, what did you want to say?
Oh, I just understand, yeah, because we're gonna continue to get so much rain, so absorption
Mhm.
is so important. Planting the rain gardens, planting trees, and, looking at the soil, making sure that it's healthy, because we have a lot of compaction here.
Mhm.
So looking at all these.
Yeah.
solutions.
Sometimes
gotta
you
find
get
a
to
way
the
for
point
it.
where it doesn't
Yeah. but
absorb any longer, and
Yeah.
it just runs,
There's
so.
things you can do to help that
Right,
and everything,
right,
and
yeah.
looking at education to
Mhm.
share with our residents would be great.
Yeah,
What
okay.
we need to do.
Because I
Very
mean, that
good,
will
yeah.
help, that will help our residents to save tens of thousands of dollars in remediation when their houses flood.
It's frustrating.
It is. I hate not being able to give a solution. That's difficult.
Yes,
to me.
it's a difficult run, that's for sure. All right, well, I don't think we have anyone else for open voting. 15 minutes went a little longer.
So before
But
we,
that happens.
so you're all here with a class from Casanova? What
Yes.
class are you here with?
AP government.
AP Government?
Yeah.
I took AP US History. It was my favorite class in high school. And what grade are you guys in? Juniors?
Seniors.
Seniors?
Seniors, okay,
Awesome.
yeah. Okay, all right, here we go. All right. And FM, and ESM, and everything. Yeah, everybody, okay. So we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of abstract number 21.
Mr. Supervisor, I move to approve abstract 21 in the amount of $242,242.48.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. No minutes, of course, because we just had last week, so we'll be looking at that at our next meeting. Item 5 is the continuation of the public hearing on the preliminary budget. I think we can do a couple things tonight. We can certainly close the public hearing, but we can also, once we do that, we've had a chance to review the budget, and there are some additional items that we will be addressing tonight. Sarah, you could probably, you have a spreadsheet there. We can add those to the any amendments or changes to the preliminary budget. So with that, unless there's any.
So is there any comment from the public or on this?
Oh, that's right, because we haven't closed it quite yet. Right.
And were there written comments submitted between this meeting? No, okay. So, Mr. Supervisor, make a motion to close the public.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, and Sarah, would you like to address the, on behalf of the Finance Committee and everyone else who had input on this?
So,
Thank you.
so there's 2 parts to this handout, so which will be available to the public
Mhm.
after tonight. But the one thing we did was the American Rescue Plan money, we made a separate column for that because we believe there's some expenses that are appropriate to be expended against that, and there would be a revenue line that would match
Mhm.
that, so there'd be 215 revenue to offset the 215. So that's a wash.
Right.
But these were items that we felt, as we had previously discussed, we want to use our ARPA money primarily to enhance communication that would be around emergency type needs of communication. So these are things that would sort of fit within that category.
Right.
As you know, there'll be more money we can expend next year, but we thought these would be things that were in the current plan that we could expend now. The other thing that I wanted to note was that Councilor Denton had been working on the electric vehicle charging station, and so that revenue and expense is now included in this. Other changes were some just adjustments in the amount, so we're still doing things, but we felt we could lower the amount. There's a change in salaries from a 2% increase to a 2.5% increase, so all the salaries changed just that small amount. And that's to keep the non-union staff at the same rate as the union staff. And then there is some reductions within the police that were, because we reduced one vehicle, it was also the upgrading of the one vehicle. And we asked the department to just shave off a little bit more on their expenses. So the total savings is $68,849 compared to what we had provided in the preliminary budget for the A fund. For the B fund, there's very little change. And in the DB fund, we are including an assumption of CHIPS revenue. We are still not assuming extreme winter recovery revenue because that depends on the weather. So we're not assuming that revenue, but we are assuming some CHIPS revenue. So that's what these changes are. And so we would need to, in the final budget, these would have to be added to the final budget. And we can calculate the tax rate for the next meeting on the 17th.
Can I ask Sarah about pay equity and deer management, the reductions there? How are they being offset, or how are the programs being impacted?
So with the pay equity, we believe we can simply do it for less.
Yeah.
For the deer management, the county has been reimbursing Fayetteville for the deer management program, so we don't have to pay the full amount. In fact, we don't have, sometimes we don't have to pay anything. It just depends
Yeah,
on
we
how much.
pretty much
they're
cut that number in
anticipating-
half.
Yeah,
We're more than half.
they're anticipating the same this year that the county has budgeted for the deer management.
And that will actually come up later in the
Yeah,
agenda.
and
too.
that, but
Yep,
as the mayor explained to me, he goes, but you never know,
Right.
you know, it could be more. So he said, it's probably a good idea to leave some
Oh, absolutely.
amount in there.
Yeah, the agreement, that's what, it doesn't say exactly.
Right.
It just says what's needed, so
Right.
this gives us a
Yep.
buffer for what's
You're
needed.
right.
But we haven't utilized it.
No,
No,
I
no,
noticed.
which is good. And that was a big catch there on the CHIPS program too, on the DB for revenue. That was an important number there, so.
So do you want to pass this now or wait till?
So what?
Well, it won't be, it's not gonna be the final budget anyway, it's just,
Didn't we have to make motions to change?
We have to move, we have
certain
to
Make the
move each
motion.
of these things to
Yes.
put them in the final.
yes, that's correct.
things? And I thought we were.
But we
were planning
don't
to do
vote on the
that.
final
We're gonna do
yet
that
until
on the 17th.
So we do it by fund, do we have to name them all or as printed
Submitted.
or?
I think we
That's
say
it.
as amended.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
I think we can vote on the whole thing, because if we also are gonna find out about the retirement, like there may be some other changes.
Yeah, there's gonna be
So,
more changes.
This is just to give you, this is what the finance committee is recommending,
Mhm.
but we will have to do next meeting, we'll do the final, which will include maybe some other things that people.
We'll have a better idea on the tax rate, the tax cap, and so on.
And any fund. Now, we do have the insurance information, which was earlier this year than
Yes.
sometimes, but we're going to get the retirement information, well, like any minute now.
And this highways transfer is the one that we discussed
Yes.
last time.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So do you want to make a motion as?
Well, we're just gonna do it all together.
Oh, all right.
I thought Ann needed something tonight so that it could put in the system. Could you need us to make a motion tonight on this?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Those
No,
are
that's
just-
number 12.
All right, cool.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
So that's, are there any questions or the finance committee will meet again. If you think of something else or you find something else,
Yep.
please feel free to bring that up.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, so now we'll move on to the continuation of our conversation with the trash and brush contract. I think things are a little more clear on it as far as I think, and again, I want input from everyone here who I would like to make that. The difference again between the standard bid and the bid with the automated bid. Same cost for both. The only difference really is that the standard bid, which is 3 years plus 2 one-year renews, would have to pay additional costs for the cart rental. Whereas in the automated, it's built in.
Yeah.
So I think that was about the only changes that.
No, and I wanted a 5-year.
And a 5-year, right, for the
for the
automated.
automated.
And they did also mention about the food waste composting, Sarah, I think.
Yeah, it's an addition, where it's
They're
opt-in
looking
for
at
the whole
that.
community.
Yeah, they're looking at that for probably 2023, of course.
Yeah, I'm going, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can discuss this too, but I think that I think that we have to build a lot more awareness and understanding with the community about and understand the interest levels before we, sign on to a giant project and certainly can't opt in folks.
Yeah.
At those levels. But it's great because there is this small business that's a mom and pop shop in Skaneateles that does it. Okra will give people a permit to do it themselves for $25. There, we as a community can start making available the information again and try to get to know who's using it and where, so that we have data around this, so that as we work towards, in year 3.
That's a good point, Heather. And come September, people will have a better idea of, well, can I do better than this or not?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
they
which we're fairly certain that the answer to that is no. Much
can, no,
research
but
as we
because
could.
of the option.
Absolutely, yeah, an option. So
Right.
I think, the automated just makes sense and, we saw the staffing issues through COVID and
Yeah.
continuing, so it's.
And it's
It's
the only
happening.
bid too, on top of that.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Not many options.
So just to clarify for residents,
Mhm.
that the price will go up
Yeah.
for this year. You won't get automation right away.
Right.
So you won't necessarily see the benefit of it
Yeah,
before you have to make a decision about opting out
Yeah.
before September 1st. So
So,
just-
because I said 6 months.
yeah,
they
about
said
5 or
so.
6 months. I think
So we
they said, yeah.
should see the benefit or.
well, some
think
people will
so.
get the, it'll roll in, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to be clear that
Yeah.
people will be charged more and that they won't see any change right away.
Yeah, that's.
I did see one
Well
comment
documented.
from a resident who said that they'd be interested in having like a questionnaire put out, just like a polling of what people want to see, because when the Mr. Rosa came and presented, he mentioned that we don't really need one, but I thought that might be worth our time to look into, and I wondered if you thought that was something we should
I
consider.
mean, it's something we should probably talk about in the future, but for now, we need to,
We can even look back at the history of how we got to where we are
Yeah,
today, you
yeah.
know, and that's exactly what was
But I
done.
think like, as we look at composting, like, that's where we have that conversation
Mhm.
overall of what are the good things about this removal service, what are the bad things, and, in the future, this is what we want to move towards. But
Right.
for now, I think it's,
Mhm.
this is the contract we're getting. But again, when we talk about the composting, it's a great time.
Yeah, I think so.
The other part of it was, that when they explained that it would be like in 5 or 6 months that we get the automated. Did we want to put in the contract a time that they have to do that by? Because what if it's 7 months, what if it's at 10 months and it's still not there?
I don't think the way deliveries of trucks are going now, I
Yeah,
don't think they have any.
I don't think they'll commit to anything like that.
Because it is kind of open-ended that we're like getting this, but we don't really have, they're not obligated to even a reasonable time frame. There's no time
But
frame.
on the
They could
flip
just
side,
never do
even
it.
if we went with the traditional, like we have now, it's the same cost.
Yeah,
So really, it will come, it's a contract where,
It's their desire to go to automated. I mean, they're going to make it happen as quickly as possible because.
Yep.
It
That
benefits them.
benefits them in terms of labor costs. And so, as John said, it's not going to change the cost to anybody. So whether we do it the traditional way or we do it the automated way, which is probably the more benefit to everybody, the only difference is it's gonna be a 5-year contract. And
Can I make a recommendation that we think about before we finalize the budget or decide if it's something that's about resilience and rescue funds? We can determine that, but related to this, we don't mail anybody anything as a whole community like once a year.
Other than their tax bill.
Other than their
Yeah.
tax bill.
They do send them that.
Yeah, and so rec, of course, used
well,
to
they
put
have
out,
assessments.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But they don't hear from us in any sort of coordinated way about what the heck is happening, whatever. So rather than, instead of a newsletter, since rec has their programming, and of course they need to be flexible, but since rec has a need too, what about if we put out almost like a, yeah, like a town guide, and we aim to put it out
what we can
in a year.
definitely do is explore all the digital options that we have for providing that service, get it to a point where it makes sense, and then we know exactly what people are, and then we can budget for that kind of communication.
Right,
Yeah,
because
and
really
we
we
need to.
have the website, there's
Yeah.
big communication, the
Yeah.
Facebook is, but yeah, maybe another step.
But even as a
you know,
mailing, like, we should consider
Yeah.
talking like the Eagle Bulletin, because they can do inserts, and
Yeah, we
maybe
could do
that's
an
how we
insert
get
or
it out.
something. Mhm.
Yeah, I think the mailing part is just, you
It's-
get, 16,000, parcels and.
Yeah,
That's a lot,
We
so,
saved $40,000 a year when the print was.
Yeah,
no
it's,
longer-
yeah, that was what
Yeah,
we
it was
run. It's,
very
a village is a little different. When you got 3,500,
Yeah.
well, that's the number.
I wonder if we couldn't get the villages to include, like, well, I think we're gonna have to kind of do some guerrilla marketing. And all of it, like, well, the way that we communicate it out and the communications committee, I know that this is something that they will be moving toward in 2022. So certainly this is something that we'll be discussing, and we can talk about in more detail at a later time, but
Sure.
getting people to sign up for an online newsletter where they get information, that's, I think, the direction we're heading.
And we've talked about building these captain relationships with the homeowners associations and neighborhoods too, so that we're actually getting the peer-to-peer network of folks,
Mhm.
the senior centers, and just keep building those networks. But maybe when we know assessment is sending, when we already know assessment and tax is sending something, we can slip in one more piece of paper.
Well, it
Not
comes
not
in that
everybody
like,
gets the letter.
it comes in that like tear up thing. That was the one tricky
Yeah,
thing.
right.
Because it's not like it comes in an envelope that we could stick something in, but
Right.
it'd be interesting to see the options for because this is one of our issues is communication, but we've known that. I think we're heading in a good direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question
Sure.
about where it's the garbage contract because it's so such an increase. Could we use ARPA money for that at all, or?
No, because that's essentially.
No, We've,
Is it? Okay.
we pretty much,
Yeah.
we've really looked into this,
Because-
Elaine. It's
Because
very
like, yeah,
tough.
because that was considered an essential service,
Syracuse City is using it they're using ARPA money for going automated for trash.
not even like, I mean, just.
But don't
offsetting
they
the cost
run
of
it, like, isn't it their infrastructure?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
This is a private
City has its own
And then
department.
that was my concern,
Yeah.
if it goes to a contractor,
Yeah.
so I
Right.
didn't think, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah,
but
that's
I wanted to ask.
yeah, that's a good question.
Good question.
So
We're always looking for, how can we use that?
A resident did reach out to me with these questions. I'm not just like pulling these out of my hat tonight, but the third question that he had was, why don't we just have the highway department resume trash pickup? It would probably save us so much money.
Oh.
I just
Rob,
wanted
do you have any
to,
thoughts, Rob?
I wanted to just get it out in the public record.
Explain the vehicles.
Be way more efficient to have a subcontractor buy the equipment,
Yeah.
hire guys to do that, and then still pay the tipping.
But that's, so the villages do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they have,
And that was the question. The
They have-
village of Mabel can do it. Why can't we?
They have a little
3,000
smaller-
residents compared to 35.
a smaller radius of.
But this
homes.
is
Oh,
what
yeah.
we brought up. This is the issue. This is the issue. People have an idea about service, right? And they don't understand that village to town
And they pay
marker.
for that.
And they
Yeah.
pay for that. Well,
Yeah.
so overall, the villages, I have a
And-
friend who's a Village of Manlius resident, and they pay probably $1,200 more in taxes a
Sure.
year than their neighbor. So that $1,200 gives them that good discount on the village playground, and they have 3 kids. So they say, you know what, that kind of daycare in the summer, that kind of discount for care in the summer actually makes the difference for us. So they've definitely,
And there's a difference between the DPW
Correct.
and the highway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
They're two different animals.
I think that I essentially knew that was gonna be the answer. Like, I knew that it came, I saw that remark and I said I would ask
Yeah, that's,
so
you know,
that we
I,
could know the answer.
we've talked about it.
So
and-
are we?
Yeah, we're good to go if you're
I
ready
think
to
so.
make a motion on the. contract.
I'll,
this is a literally like, hold your nose.
Yeah.
Saying-
Literally.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the supervisor to enter into contract with Syracuse Haulers for trash removal
Before,
for 5 years.
5 years.
I just have one quick question. I don't personally, but a relative of mine has a professional relationship with Syracuse Haulers. Should I abstain from voting?
You don't have a personal relationship with it?
Someone in my family has a professional relationship with Syracuse Haulers. Should I abstain from voting? Okay. Wanted to
No,
check.
you don't have any financial interest in Syracuse
No,
Haulers.
I don't.
Then, yeah, you're.
Someone in my family does, but I do not.
In your immediate
My
family?
immediate family.
Like-
No, well, no, not Aliana Revivian.
Okay. I mean,
Aliana does
it's not gonna
business.
benefit you in any way.
No.
Your immediate family.
Aliana's got a side gig, it would not.
She throws garbage on it, like on a weekend. It's fine.
I don't,
Okay, I just wanted to double.
With a sand bucket and a shovel. Yeah, there you
She's very efficient.
I'll
it's
second.
good to disclose it.
Yeah.
go. Sarah, second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so it's the 5-year contract.
Yes.
um,
Automated.
For automated service.
Yeah.
And the price is still the same as it would have been
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
5 years. I'm happy to lock it in for 5 years.
We
Okay.
don't, yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know what the.
Yeah.
labor market's gonna be looking like.
Right.
I'll take
Imagine,
it.
like, it's not- With everything going on, I don't feel like.
So I think the increase hurts a little bit this year, but I think over time it'll end up being.
Yeah, we'll end up
very
saving
good.
money. If it's 10-20% every year over year.
It's amazing the amount of discussion on garbage, isn't it? You know, but we have to do it.
Fun stuff.
When I
It's
talked
one of
about-
our- it's one of our core businesses.
It is. I know.
The very first time I talked to Sarah Bollinger, I said, what does it mean to be a town councilor? She said, it's trash and brush and it's plowing and paving.
That's pretty much
I was like,
it.
that sounds like a lot of fun. Sign me up for that.
And now we can move on to deer management is next. So,
Supervisor, we
Yeah.
have a brush contract to.
oh, the brush, yes, we need to include that. Sorry, great, thank you.
Okay,
Ann.
so I'll make a motion to approve the brush contract.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That one was easy.
Yeah.
Well, we've beaten that one up too,
That's the
so.
best value.
All right, now we can go on to the IMA with the Village of Fayetteville on the deer management agreement. Karen, do you want to just bring us up?
Yeah,
to- I mean, I've looked at it.
This will be the fourth year that the town has had a agreement with the village. This program has worked out very well. It first started in the village 7 or 8 years ago now.
Mhm.
And, but having the town involved, we can open up the sites, we share the resources. The county supports this program 100%. I've spoken with the county ledge and the funding again is there for next year.
Yeah.
So, but the results have been above the expectations really. And we partner with the Department of Agriculture. And so the village agreed last week at their board meeting to enter into
Oh,
agreement with us. They would like to do that.
okay.
So we're just waiting for us to
Okay,
sign
And
the
I-
agreement and
yep.
we'll apply for the permits.
And I looked, and our town clerk sent that to us along with last year's motion when we approved the IMA in November 18th, 2020. Thank you. And I've looked at these and there's nothing different. So we can make a motion now, or we can wait till November 17th.
Well, I'd like to make a motion because
Okay.
we've got to get
Yeah, we have to do
the
your permit, right?
permits going and it
Okay.
takes about 30 days. So,
Oh, all right,
I mean, we're right on time, but
okay.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into agreement with the Village of Fayetteville for the deer management agreement.
Second that, all in favor? Opposed, carried.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, everyone. We're moving right on to the highway superintendent. Rob, what do you have for us
Yeah,
tonight?
actually, just got one quick thing tonight. I know this is something that John and Sarah and myself are kind of working together with over the whole course of the summer. And actually, we did the budget transfer from the CHIPS funding that we had, a little bit more anticipated revenue this
From
year.
the extreme weather.
Yeah, from the extreme weather. So obviously, it's a little bit different than the CHIPS, same type of funding. So anyway, we're looking to try and catch up with some of our purchases. Unfortunately, getting new vehicles, as John just got done saying, is we've had 2 pickups on order since March and still haven't received them.
Okay.
So we're looking at probably 12 to 18 months before we receive this vehicle. But I still, we went through the mini bid process. We had 5 bidders that came back. And we put a spec out for basically a 1-ton 550 Ford, which is keeping consistent with what we have for vehicles.
Okay,
So we got a bid came back from Tennessee Valley Ford in Avon for a price of $47,830. That's just a cab and chassis. So we'll have to put a stake rack on it. We're not going to put a building stake on this particular vehicle. But we'll have to come back and purchase the stake rack and raw package afterwards. But I'd like to see if I can get a motion for the approval to purchase that vehicle at the $47,830.
okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Excellent.
That's it for me.
Just to piggyback on what you said about the severity factor, by the way, we had a supervisors meeting a couple of weeks ago. And, we have some new supervisors that weren't around 9 years ago when we put this contract together with the county. And so I'm in the process of, we're in the process of reaching out to the county, follow up to see, like they did 3 years ago, if there is any money the state still owes us. And we're also gonna, because the contract is up this in November, the 3-year with the county. So we'll be revisiting that as well. So I just want to bring everybody up to speed on that. You reminded me of that. Thank you, Rob. That's good. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. And Tim? What do you have for us tonight?
I have nothing. And answer the handle thing.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. The town, nope. Nothing.
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay. The chief's not here tonight. Did he have anything? that he- Nothing. Okay. Very good. Town manager, you have something for us tonight.
Just a couple of things.
Yeah.
Before you is a resolution authorizing the removal of Lincoln Financial as a trustee for your deferred compensation plan. Effective December 1st.
Right.
And the service provider change.
Yes.
Yes, removing the board as trustee
Mhm.
of the current deferred comp plan and the service provider change agreement.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've read it and it looks good to me.
I can make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the removal of Lincoln Financial Group and us essentially as trustees
Correct.
on the
And to
deferred
do the
compensation
second
plan.
thing.
And to do the second thing.
Which is the service provider.
And on removal of Lincoln Financial Group as service provider and appointing Nationwide as successor service provider of town deferred compensation.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Anything else, Ann?
Just one quick thing. Recently, one of the departments got some new office furniture. And we did have a list. It came to me late this afternoon. But we have some desks and cabinets and chairs that we would like to declare surplus. They are quite old.
Oh, yeah.
We tried to
Yeah.
sort of pawn them off on maybe some other departments, but most of the equipment in this building is long past its life. So we do have 4 desks, 1 wall cabinet, 6 chairs, and 4 room dividers that we would like to declare surplus, and it will probably go to either
Where's it going, Rob?
Scrap. probably
Scrap.
most of it.
yeah,
Most of it is scrap.
If someone in the general public needed a desk, could they take one of them?
If we donate it,
Well, if they can't pick it up, the buy nothing group or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, with that, could we?
If we're going to scrap it, I have no problem with somebody taking it. If they arrange to come and pick it up and.
Right.
I just don't know how you're going to
So.
offer that and.
Well, that's
then
called
get
the
3 or-
internet.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, but if 5 people want 3 desks,
So
It-
who is taking responsibility to coordinate a pickup time, a
Right.
full inventory that gets posted?
Mhm.
Has to get posted to all the groups so that we're not picking favorites.
well, what group-
Well, just, we could do like a the buy nothing Manlius group and post it on there, and
So you will be coordinating a pickup.
I don't
time.
remember mentioning my name.
I'm happy
But
to
it was
do
a great idea.
And then we don't have to deal with someone from the town having to like.
Yeah,
go take it.
exactly.
Yeah, it actually works out because there's a family that has furniture for the Manlius fire victims that they've been trying to coordinate too. So I'm in touch with Martha on that front too.
They might need room dividers.
I doubt it, but, but you know what? No worries.
Okay, Heather, I can work with you on that.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
also
you-
talk
there we
to
go.
the
You-
small
yeah,
business.
we
We
can
can
work
also
with
talk to
that.
SBA people.
I would suggest maybe looking at it first,
Yeah,
see what condition
yeah.
it's in before you want to.
Yeah, you might, yeah.
We'll see if there's like 2 good enough desks, you
Yeah.
take a picture, you post it.
Yeah, if it's like an old chair that's falling apart, we just throw it away, but
So
if there's a
I'll
good desk, we can.
make a motion to declare, can I declare
Yes.
those things as surplus?
Yes.
The list
that she read.
The list.
Yeah, I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Alright.
Opposed, carried. Very good. Ellison, you didn't mention any committee reports. Did we have any for tonight?
everyone was busy.
Okay.
The only thing I'll add, Sustainable Manlius is meeting tomorrow at 7.
Okay.
So if, Elaine and Sarah, I hope, are you guys planning on coming? Because we've got, now that Ryan has moved on to college and we finally have time to like revisit this, we need a new community chair. So.
Really? He's moved on, oh.
Well, yeah, he graduated, he went off to college, he's at school, he's still in touch with me, but he's not our community chair anymore, so we need a new one.
Do you guys have a Zoom option or is it in person? Great, yeah.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, Caitlin. And I don't have anything tonight. So, yeah,
I told
we
my
only had one
mom
meeting after another,
the
so.
meeting would be less than an hour.
I know, well, I
and
may
we
have
stuck
something in
it.
2 weeks, so,
All right.
so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you,
Yes, an hour,
everyone.
Caitlin. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.